Over the last year, I've become increasingly dissatisfied with the way art has existed in our world. And for a period of time, I tried to adhere to this new way of making as dictated by our platforms. But something just wasn't quite clicking, and I knew I wanted to experiment. I knew I wanted to get back to how I originally was sharing work. I know that I love writing. I love combining writing with visual arts, and I love video making, but not in a clickbaity way. And all of these things are scary to experiment with when people are watching, and art making and art sharing is already such a vulnerable practice. And if you add on top of that fear of judgment, it totally breaks down. So I wanted to start fresh, and this is me starting fresh. Had my open studio recently, and it's feeling a little crowded in here. I need to rearrange, and I think want to bring a table in. Forgot my measuring tape though. So I kind of need to get all the completed works out of the way and all the work in progresses back up so I can continue working instead of just staring at finished pieces. Also, I'm feeling like wildly unmotivated, which is really odd because I think shows tend to, I don't know. Anyway, it's been a bit since I've been here. It's been 5 days since the show, but it's time to get back in. I have 2 commissions that I need to work on, and I'm hoping to get them done by next week. And then I want to start this huge painting. Look. That one here. I'm pretty excited about it though. I don't know who would ever want this. I'm thinking about doing the underpainting maybe today. If I feel drawn to make a mark, I will make a mark. What I was trying to say about being demotivated after a studio show is that so much of your effort for a period of time is focused solely on this specific date. And once you reach that date, it necessitates a reevaluation and reassessment of why you are even creating. If it's not for a show, then what is it for? And I can sometimes feel listless. At the same time, I've been researching a lot about Gustav Klimt, the painter, for the Art Blanche podcast that I host. Even though I've been deeply inspired by his work for a long time, I've never come close to attempting anything that resembles the scale that he works on, and even the style. It just always felt really daunting, and something about the studio made it feel more possible. So I'm excited to tackle such a big piece that I've been ruminating on for a long time. It comprises of a few ideas that I've been thinking through, and it's nice to finally get to work. This garden studio has been so great for me. I am usually here Wednesday through Friday. It's helping me build back some of that discipline to continually showing up even when I don't feel like painting, and I love the rinse and repeat of waking up, go to the studio, work, paint, come home, dinner, and wake up again and do the same thing.
The day by day.
It's simple and it's kind of not a big deal, but it is to me. On the home front, things are going swimmingly. Last year, Henry and I had knocked down a wall that separates our kitchen and this hallway. So we've been kind of living in this space where there's a massive dry wall that's exposed that we're just ignoring. I'm glad that we are finally addressing it almost a year later. We picked out a beautiful piece of wood, cut it down, sanded it, glued it, tinted it, and now it's a part of our kitchen. It's been great living in this transitional season. The days are sometimes really hot and then sometimes very cold, and then other times it's just a rainstorm, and that means equal time spent indoors and outdoors. At home, I've revisited the idea of baking sweets again, something I really miss. I've been primarily focused on bread. Bread is essentially the only thing that I can bake that we know that we will eat, and we try not to keep too many sweets in the house. But I don't know, just kind of woke up one day and decided, I think macarons. Macarons are the thing, and macarons hold such a special place in my heart. So many good memories, baking them with friends and family. They are just finicky enough to make to build camaraderie amongst the bakers, and sweet enough to make this feel like a very decadent treat. Here I am making some yellow macarons and pink ones. The pink ones are filled with a berry jam, and the yellow ones are filled with a homemade lemon curd, which I think is divine. Lemon macarons are a personal favorite, and I objectively think they are the superior flavor because the tartness offsets the sweetness, and it's just great. Baking sweets has also reinforced the original idea of why I love baking in the first place, and it is that I get to share it with so many people. So that's been very lovely lately. We've also been cooking a lot, trying to further limit the amount we eat out and always having fresh ingredients in our refrigerator for meals like this. Unfortunately, I'm also following up my meals with some medication. Amoxicillin, some kind of viscousy throat coating, syrup beeping, cough suppressant. Magical antibiotics.
To level it out, you can't spill a drop.
Like I said, an equal amount of time was spent outdoors. I went on a lot of walks, pet a lot of neighborhood cats, and spent some time with my favorite little people. Their laughter fills me up with so much joy, and I always want to remember that, especially as they are continuing to grow up so fast right in front of my eyes.
You have to do both actions and express.
Oh yes, that. At some point in the month, it was also my birthday.
This is for Nancy's birthday.
Henry surprised me with this omakase dinner. We also had a day of farmers markets, going to the High Museum where we saw this really great ceramics exhibition from Edgefield, and just generally explored. We renewed our membership, so I'm really excited about going back more frequently for other exhibitions. He also got a ton of balloons for me, which I really love. They were a part of a surprise pizza party. Not a lot of pizza was actually eaten, so we have tons of leftover pizza that I've frozen, and I've kind of become a bit of an expert in reheating pizza over a cast iron skillet. Just another skill acquired this month. It was also someone else's birthday this month. Mary Lindstrom turned 3 and had this very cute Frozen-themed birthday party. Speaking of cute, Merlin the cat is back in our lives full time. He was temporarily staying with my brother because he seemed to be acting up a bit and we were worried he was missing his cousin Gandalf. But he's back now and getting pets morning to night whenever we are around, and he seems much happier. I am much happier too. I've been avoiding getting a desk in here, like a real table in here, for a few months now. And I think a part of it is that I am scared to commit to the studio. Does that make sense? But it is keeping me from doing things in here, like maximizing what I can do in here. And I know that intellectually, and I feel that in my physical and emotional life, but practically, it's not quite aligning. So maybe we get a desk. This month, I'm getting a desk. I need to open the doors. I usually start my day off here with sweeping because the consequence of being in the middle of the woods is that there are going to be a lot of bugs that get in and don't know how to get out. So unfortunately, that means a lot of insect corpses welcome me to the studio every day. It's not so bad. I think it's probably a good thing to be kind of confronted with that and have to be a caretaker in some ways, be kind to nature, despite all the bug bites. So, we're gonna sweep. I found this painting to be challenging. It's a self-portrait of me wearing my ao dai, which is the Vietnamese wedding dress. And I don't know, I feel like I'm just still very fearful of messing up. It's a big canvas. A lot of materials are going into making it. So I'm just overly cautious, but luckily there's a lot of negative space for me to focus on when I'm feeling doubtful of myself. It's also just generally hard to look at my face for this long of a period of time. There's definitely some dysmorphia going on that makes it difficult. At some point in the process, I had painted my eye totally crooked, and I thought, is this just what I look like, or did I paint this totally wrong? Both answers are bad. But, you know, that's okay. I just saw a deer. Oh my gosh, it's looking right at me. bleach film lab have been going really well. We started selling film rolls, which is so exciting. That also means that there have been a lot of logistics to figure out around orders and processing orders and fulfilling them. But I'm just really glad we're able to provide this for our customers now.
What are we celebrating tonight?
We accomplished a feat of 90 rolls, which is the most, 91, it's the most we've had since the conception of bleach. So.
And although it's been wonderful that we've been getting so many orders, I think this is typical of the summer. Henry was unfortunately away a lot for production work, which left me running the lab as a one-woman team, and that meant very long days.
I need to get gas. My car has a 5-mile range right now, and the nearest gas station is very expensive. This is my fault.
Le blues de Paris m'envahit. Le blues de Paris m'envahit. Le blues de Paris mais le blues de Paris, je l'aime. Le blues de Paris m'envahit. Le blues de Paris m'envahit. Le blues de Paris.
I was working around 12 to 15 hours on Mondays and Tuesdays, and it's a lot of monotonous work and it's a lot of manual labor, but at the same time deeply satisfying. I don't think everything I do can be creative. That seems kind of intense for my brain. But there's also some creativity to the scanning process when I get to go through everyone's photos and do color correction and make sure they're beautiful. It feels really great to get them delivered and hear feedback from people that they love their photographs. It's very, very satisfying. Woohoo! We got a desk.
One more thing.
One more thing? Oh my gosh, he brought a chair. Thank you, Henry. Getting a table in the studio has been such a huge game changer for me. I'm no longer sitting on the floor. I can stay at the studio for much longer periods of time. It's also allowed me to add in a writing practice to my days. Every morning when I get in, I set a timer for about 30 minutes and I just write nonstop. Writing has been a great source of inspiration and creativity and new ideas for me, and so glad I've come back to it. I also finished a few commissioned pieces this month. I don't typically work on commissions that are within my style, so they end up being really great practice for me to expand beyond what I normally do and also just get to work on things that matter to other people. I love getting to hear about stories of how different symbols and ideas come about in other people's lives. Towards the end of the month, I went back to the High Museum to take a look at their Dutch art exhibition. I previously did a lot of research on Johannes Vermeer, so I had a good sense of the history of Dutch art from around 1500 to 1700, and I just wanted to be able to expand my knowledge of other painters during this time and reinforce my knowledge of Dutch history that influenced the artwork itself. I took a lot of notes, a lot of photos for references, and just overall learned a lot. There was a particular artist, Frans Hal, that I was drawn to. His work had really expressive brushstrokes, and that heavily contrasted with Rembrandt's work that were a lot more specific and detailed. I think what I am drawn to lives somewhere between hyperrealism and impressionism. I'm not quite that loose, but I'm also not quite that interested in replicating life as it exists. It's definitely somewhere in the realm of expressionism, though, and seeing his work was really helpful, and it was something that I wanted to bring into the larger painting that I was working on. So when I got back into the studio, I did some sketching to kind of warm up, and then I went into tackling the face. If you remember earlier, I had done a very detailed pencil drawing of the face, and that was quite silly because I knew that it was going to get covered up completely. I think I was just doing that to build confidence and get acquainted with the proportions. I'm not sure how I feel about this painting just yet, but the perseverance is what matters to me right now. So I will continuing on. I do think I have a good idea of how the composition will land, and I'm excited for it.
You're sitting on my bedroom floor. Too hot to have you come. Too bad nothing happens in the summer. I wish you had one, so I could use your AC. He's standing by the
One day I came home to this massive camera in our living room that Henry was playing around with, and we ended up bringing this camera to Charleston. We spent maybe 16 hours in Charleston shooting, and this was our first foray into doing something creative together. We've historically only really have done business-oriented things, and we have relatively different tastes and styles in creating visually. So this is just something really fun to do together, and I am excited to see how this will turn out. Overall, a really great month. Some ups and downs. A lot of the downs were born out of my own insecurities and fears, but a lot of the ups live within the creative exploration that I was talking about. So I am happy to be stepping into something new.
wish I could see it from the street.
Oh.